Welcome to Audit Archive. Today, we're looking at a case where a police officer arrested a Good Samaritan for simply helping a crash victim, which later led to a hefty lawsuit settlement. On September 22, 2019, Preston Sal, his wife, and a few of his friends were leaving Charlie L's pub in Loveland, Colorado, when they spotted a man lying under a crashed motorcycle at the exit of a parking lot. Upon seeing this, Mr. Sal and a few other people rushed to help the man, who was visibly injured, and lifted the motorcycle off him, while bystanders dialed 911 to request emergency services. Just a few minutes later, two emergency medics, a fire crew, and officers from the Loveland Police Department arrived on the scene. One of the responding personnel was Officer Paul Ash, who immediately made contact with Mr. Sal and began questioning him about the incident. When Officer Ash asked Mr. Sal where the wrecked bike was located, Mr. Sal welcomingly cooperated and told Officer Ash that it was parked nearby and pointed towards its direction.
Where is the bike at?
The bike's parked down on the side, yeah, the blue one there.
However, Officer Ash still wanted to question Mr. Sal and asked him to step away from the scene and come talk to him. In response, Mr. Sal informed Officer Ash that he was not willing to talk to anybody at all, and that he wasn't the one who witnessed the incident anyways.
Okay, you might come and talk to me?
I don't know what happened.
Well, you pulled the bike off him.
I'm not talking to nobody.
Really?
These guys saw what happened, I didn't.
Officer Ash responded by giving Mr. Sal two options: to either come talk to him or leave the scene immediately. In this situation, Mr. Sal exercised his right to plead the fifth and chose not to answer any questions whatsoever.
Okay, if you're not talking to anybody, you can leave.
Well, you can leave.
No.
You're dismissed.
No.
Can't leave.
We can't leave. I'm not leaving.
Okay, then come and talk to me.
No, I'm not going to come talk to you.
But regardless, Mr. Sal did go ahead and make it very clear to Officer Ash that he was not the one who moved the motorcycle away.
I'm not going to come talk to you.
Police officer, man.
I know.
Did you
but I'm
pull
not
the
gonna come
bike?
talk
Did
to
you
him.
pull the
I'm
bike
not
off
gonna
him?
come talk to
Okay,
him.
that's
Did you pull the bike off him?
I did not.
Okay.
So
You just told me
it
you
has
did.
nothing to do with me.
Okay, you're free to leave.
Yeah, you're free to leave.
After chatting with another bystander and asking him for Mr. Sal's first name, Officer Ash went back up to Mr. Sal and told him that he had to come talk to him, essentially ordering Mr. Sal to speak about the incident.
What's his name?
Preston. That's all I know.
Preston what?
I don't know.
You got ID on your boss? I'm gonna need an ID
no
now.
ID.
Okay. 177. I got an uncooperative witness. Come on over here.
Constitutional right.
I need to talk to you.
Constitutional right. No.
I need to
I don't
talk
want,
to
I don't
you.
want to talk to you.
You have to talk
I don't want
to
to
me.
talk. No, I don't.
However, it is to be noted that Officer Ash had no legal authority to force Mr. Sal to talk to him. And in fact, Mr. Sal was well within his rights to refuse to speak about anything regardless.
No, I don't.
Okay, you've
No, I
inserted
don't.
yourself.
I came down here to help them.
So-
No, I don't have to talk
so
to
this is
anybody.
gonna go one of
I
two
don't have
ways.
to talk to anybody.
Despite this, Officer Ash threatened Mr. Sal by telling him that he would be arrested for obstruction if he refused to talk.
I don't
One of
have
two
to talk
ways.
to anybody.
Okay, either
I
you're
don't
gonna
have to
sit
talk to
here and
anybody.
talk to me,
No,
we'll just have a short
no,
conversation,
no,
or I can
I
arrest
don't
you
have
for
to.
obstruction.
No, you're not. I'm not obstructing
You
anything.
are.
You're right here.
Okay.
I'm not obstructing nothing.
According to Colorado law, a person commits obstructing government operations if he intentionally obstructs, impairs, or hinders the performance of a governmental function by a public servant by using or threatening to use violence, force, or physical interference or obstacle. With reference to this, Mr. Sal did not act in any manner that would allow him to fit under this violation of the law. Therefore, it goes without saying that Officer Ash's actions beyond this point are unlawful and unjustified, as Mr. Sal was merely an innocent victim who tried to help the crash victim. At this point, Officer Ash held Mr. Sal by the arm while needlessly twisting it and told him to put both of his hands behind his back so he could place him in handcuffs.
Nope.
Turn around.
Videotape this, Sherry.
I'm already doing
No.
it. It's right here. Turn around.
You're wrong.
Turn around.
My constitutional rights.
Turn around.
I don't have to talk to you. I don't
Turn
have to
around.
die. I don't have to ID myself.
Turn around.
He's being a
Turn around.
fucking public cop.
Mr. Sal immediately retaliated and called Officer Ash out for unlawfully unresting him.
What are you fucking with me for? What are you fucking with me for?
This ended up in a scuffle and Mr. Sal was violently thrown to the ground by Officer Ash and 2 other officers, Officer De Lima and Officer Schnorr, in an attempt to secure Mr. Sal.
This is total fucking bullshit.
I gave you plenty of opportunities.
No, I didn't want to talk to you. I didn't have to talk to you.
I'm gonna sit you up.
That's my constitutional right.
I'm gonna sit you up.
During this altercation, Mr. Sal dislocated his shoulder, fractured his collarbone, and also tore his rotator cuff. Furthermore, Mr. Sal suffered from bruises and cuts to his forehead too. With a long list of injuries faced by Mr. Sal, it comes as no surprise that Officer Ash had used excessive force to arrest Mr. Sal, let alone the fact that the arrest itself was unlawful. Mr. Sal was then walked to Officer Ash's patrol car, and on their way there, Officer Ash told Mr. Sal that all he had to do was talk to him, and that it didn't matter if he wanted to do that or not, implying that he had the authority to essentially force Mr. Sal to speak.
Videotape this shit.
All you had to do was talk to me.
I didn't want to talk to you. I didn't have to talk to you.
Doesn't matter.
I didn't have to talk to you. I don't know what happened. He came over, we saw him down, I came to help him get his fucking bike up.
Okay, and that's what I need to talk.
Officer Ash also told Mr. Sal that the reason he wanted to speak was that Mr. Sal had allegedly moved the motorcycle away from the scene. However, Mr. Sal had made it clear early on that he was not involved with that, and made sure to let Officer Ash know that once more after being placed in handcuffs. To make matters worse, Officer Ash also told Mr. Sal that he was being arrested for not only the obstruction violation, but also for resisting.
If you earned serving yourself, you need to talk to me.
I don't need to talk to you.
You're investigation.
I'm not obstructing
You are
anything.
under arrest for obstruction.
I'm
and
not
for
obstructing.
resisting.
I want to talk to your fucking supervisor.
This ordeal then took an outrageous turn as Officer Ash's body cam footage proved that he was well aware of the fact that Mr. Sal had nothing to do with the motorcycle incident.
You're here?
Yeah.
I need statements from the guy in the blue plaid shirt.
Okay.
The guy in the black Eagles thing.
Okay.
He was the one who moved his bike over there, or was moving
In
it.
the Eagles jersey, moved it over there?
Yep.
Okay.
And despite knowing that Mr. Sal would be of no significance during the crash investigation, Officer Ash wanted to question and then arrest Mr. Sal anyway. In the body cam footage, Officer Ash is heard openly admitting that another bystander was the one who actually moved the motorcycle. This statement confirmed that Mr. Sal was in fact right all along, and that he had been intentionally arrested for no reason whatsoever. A paramedic on the scene asked the police if he could examine Mr. Sal, and after examining him, told police that he thought Mr. Sal's shoulder was dislocated and that he needed to go to the hospital in an ambulance.
Ambulance ain't taking me?
Nope. Since you're in custody, you're gonna go with me. Okay?
Well, I don't
So
know
here's-
why I'm in custody,
Well,
but
so here's what we're gonna do, okay? Okay. Perfect. So let me explain to you what we're gonna do, okay?
I'm good, man. My shoulder's fucked up. There's no reason to get slammed to the ground. That's all I know.
The paramedic also asked if Mr. Sal's handcuffs could be taken off, and after initially refusing, officers later took Mr. Sal's handcuffs off about 20 minutes after he was injured.
So let me explain to you what we're gonna do, okay?
I'm good, man. My shoulder's fucked up. There's no reason to get slammed to the ground. That's all I know.
Mr. Sal was transported to the local hospital, where officers were told by the doctors that it would be unsuitable for Mr. Sal to be booked due to the injuries he faced. Subsequently, Officer Ash wrote him a citation, charging him with obstruction of a peace officer and resisting arrest. As a result of the scuffle between Mr. Sal and Loveland officers, Mr. Sal had to undergo shoulder replacement surgery and experienced regular pain in his shoulder and arm for months after the incident. Meanwhile, the 8th Judicial District Attorney's Office dismissed all charges leveled against him. On June 22, 2020, Mr. Sal filed a lawsuit against Officers Ash, De Lima, Schnorr, and Brian Bartness, alleging that the officers violated his First and Fourth Amendment rights. The lawsuit also alleged that the City of Loveland violated his 14th Amendment right to not be deprived of due process by failing to appropriately train its police officers. In addition, Mr. Sal requested financial compensation for his injuries, along with individual apologies from all the officers involved. Just a few days later, the City of Loveland announced that Officer Ash had violated 3 department policies and procedures. 1. Limits of authority and exercise discretion. 2. Search and seizure. 3. Use of force. Even though Internal Affairs reported that there was no probable cause to arrest Mr. Sal, the city did not mention any disciplinary or corrective action against either of the officers involved, simply stating that any disciplinary actions would be taken in accordance with the conclusion and outcome of the Internal Affairs. On January 27, 2021, the excessive force lawsuit filed by Mr. Sal in 2020 was settled for an amount of $290,000. However, no recorded action was taken against the officers involved in the incident. City Attorney Moses Garcia said the settlement documents explicitly state the city and the officers did not admit guilt, and the decision to settle was made on the balance between the cost of a court case and the potential outcomes. Be sure to check out this video where we cover another outrageous police encounter